Hi, 5th grade, this is Mr. Fudge, and we are doing our first lesson for our Unit 3. And if you notice on our work plan, we're supposed to be on vocabulary for the first moment, doing the well book page 97. And that looks like this. I went ahead and ripped mine out, page 97 in your well book. And that gives us some cool vocabulary. So to start off, it's underestimate. It's 70 times 30 is an underestimate for 72 times 34. You see how this 70 is less than 72 and this 30 is less than 34. They rounded down to the nearest tenth. That means they used this number to say whether or not this should go up or not. Remember the rounding and estimating lesson that we did last unit? So if the number, let's say we're rounding to this place value right here, we need to look at the number behind it. And if the number is if that number is 1, 2, 3, or 4, we leave it alone. So we just do nothing. Do nothing. And if we have the number 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, then we round up. And they followed the rules here for that. So they looked at the 2. Okay, it's 2. We do nothing. We leave the 7 alone, so we have 70. And then 34, we look at the 4 to round up or down. The 3, looks like we have a 4, so we do nothing. We leave the 3 alone. And now we have 30. Okay, it says since 70 is less than 72 and 30 is less than 34. That's what we just explained. That's underestimating. Overestimating. 50 times 20 is an overestimate of 45 times 19. Since 50 is less than 45, is greater than 45. Remember, we read it left to right. And 20 is greater than 19. Cool. And then we have partial products. If you notice, we're going to go back to overestimate real quick. If you notice, they rounded that 4 up because the 5 was what? The 5 told you to round it up. 5 makes the 4 go up. The 9 made the 1 go up. So that's how we got 50, and that's how we have 20, because we rounded up. We overestimated. Here we underestimated. We rounded down. Partial products, when we multiply, we have to take this number and multiply it by each number, which would give us this number. If we take this number and multiply it by these two numbers, we get this number. These two numbers are called partial products because we still haven't added them together. It's not the final product. That's the final product. I'll actually put here an arrow, and I'll put final product. Okay. And then we have a variable. If you notice, this is an equation, and this is 25 plus n, which is equal to 37. A variable is a number, a letter, a symbol, whatever you want to put in there. You could even put a question mark there. It's still a variable because you're trying to solve and figure out what is missing from that. So what is 25 plus something equals 37? What would that n be? Well, you can do some quick math, but the real way to do it is to subtract 25 from this side and then subtract 25 from this side. And you find the difference between them, which is that number there. And that would be what? 5 plus another 7. That'd be 12. So n, in this case, is equal to 12. If I plug 12 into n, 12 plus 25 is 37. Okay. That's some crash course algebra right there. So that's 4 minutes for the vocabulary. Last thing, all I'm doing, because I'm lazy, is if you notice on the back here, we actually have things that correlate to those words on the other side. And it's actually, you're plugging in those words on the other side into it. So if I looked at overestimate, I can write overestimate here. And then if I look here, okay, this is underestimate on the other side, underestimate. We have partial products here. And then variable there. A lot of times people will flip these around the wrong way and put this word here and this word there because they're flipping it and they don't do the flip in their head. Okay, and so the result of using greater numbers to estimate a sum or a product is called an overestimate. The result of using lesser numbers to estimate a sum or product is called an underestimate. A letter such as in that represents a number in an expression or an equation is called a variable. It's just a symbol that replaces a missing number that we don't know. Don't let all this jargon get you confused. Partial products are products found by breaking one of two factors into ones, tens, hundreds, and so on, and then multiplying each of these by the other factor. Again, partial products are just products that we have of numbers that we add together to get the final product. Okay. Last thing before we go to the actual lesson, I have my journal opened up the next available page, and I can put unit at the top, unit 3 vocabulary. Okay. And then how I'm going to glue this in, I'm going to keep this all intact. I'm not cutting it out like it suggests you to do. I'm just going to fold it in half like you see here. Let's fold it in half. And I'm going to flip it over to this side right here. If you notice, this is the front. I folded it in half. Again, folded it in half. Just like so. There's the front. Flip it over. I'll put glue on this side. Yeah, I got the purple glue at home. I don't have that fancy permanent glue that I bought for the classroom. Okay, and now I'm just going to put it in. Bada bing, bada boom. Now I have my vocabulary, and I can look at my definitions anytime I want. Bada bing, bada boom. My life is simple. Thank you so much, Mr. Fudge, for helping me get my vocabulary in my journal.